Good morning. I'm Scott Wrighton from the City of Decatur, and it's my pleasure to join you again through this video with some announcements and some information about what's going on here in Decatur and Macon County with regard to COVID-19. First, I want to tell you that Lake Decatur is open, and it's probably a great place for practicing social distancing, or as one user said, fish distancing. Anyway, boat permits are still required for use of the lake because it's important that our staff check the safety of boats and docks. But please know that the city is going to provide ample time, more time than usual, to get those boat permits and dock permits because we understand that many more of the transactions have to be handled by mail. So don't worry about that, but a permit is required eventually this season. There's not going to be mask pickup tomorrow on Thursday. As there has been for the last 3 weeks. That event ended on April 9. But let me make a couple of comments about personal protective equipment. All of our major medical providers, healthcare providers rather, have sufficient PPE for now based on the demand. And the Emergency Management Agency here in Macon County has received some additional supplies of personal protective equipment for the use of our first responders. But the role that the average citizen plays is to wear one of these masks. And now, the mask may not stop the actual virus, but it's still very important because it keeps you from touching your nose and mouth. And in the event that you do cough or sneeze, it prevents it from going that far. And as I've announced before, we're going to be requiring, beginning on April 20th, the people who use the Decatur transit buses to wear masks. But it's really not that difficult to find something that'll work as a mask. And nobody's going to be saying, oh, that mask isn't good enough, you have to have a different kind of mask. Here, for example, is one that I made at home out of a scarf and a couple of hair bands without the need for stitching. So this will be fine for riding the bus and many other social encounters. So don't worry about it being a fancy mask or something that you see on one of those medical shows. A simple mask like this will suffice. But it's extremely important that in many of these social outings that you have a mask. I've mentioned this before, but I want to say it again, that it's the role of the police in town in enforcing closure of non-essential businesses or of large gatherings is limited. We think it's important to protect civil liberties. But the police will intervene to break up large groups and parties and to close down non-essential businesses. But please just exercise good common sense and practice social distancing, which I think has been practiced pretty effectively so far by local citizens. As many of you know, and has been reported in the media, there have been a large number of cases at the Fairhaven nursing home. In fact, of the 43 cases in Macon County, 32 of them, or nearly 3/4, are from Fairhaven, as well as all of the fatalities. And that of course means that if you've had any contact with any employee or anybody else who may have come and gone from that, then you need to take appropriate actions to consider self-quarantine or be very cognizant of what symptoms might develop. But that means that only 11 people in all the rest of Macon County have had positive tests and no fatalities. And so I think that is a testament to how effective Macon County residents have been in following these rules for containment and social distancing to limit the effects of the virus. The City of Decatur and other local governments are open and active through the emergency, although they are certainly operating under very different protocols and safety procedures. While I am optimistic that the emergency will end sooner rather than later, please know that your local governments are not idle. Our first responders and many other agencies and service providers are changing their operational protocols and what they do, sometimes on a daily basis, to meet changing situations and needs. At the last City Council meeting, the Mayor and Council were very keen to get some additional information from citizens about what their needs were in this emergency. The reason for that is because they knew that we would be receiving some additional relief and special funding, both from the state and federal government, for various different programs, and they wanted to make sure that we had some good information for how we would deal with that funds when it became available to us. It's not available yet, but it's coming in the pipeline. So what they wanted is they wanted to have a survey, and so that survey is going to be rolled out beginning next week, and it'll be available on the City of Decatur's website. Now, this survey is not a normal survey that is asking you about your opinion about something, although we always value your opinion. It's more about trying to gather data. What are the needs most in the community with regard to utilities or affordable housing or access to childcare or something else that may have been affected by the economic disruption of COVID-19. So again, beginning next week, there's going to be a survey available on the website, and we would encourage everyone to give us their feedback, because the more information we have, the more data we have, the better able the City Council is to make decisions about how to use those resources and respond the most effectively to the emergency. Please know as well that that the mayor and council have been contemplating what it is that comes next, how they deal with the financial implications of the emergency, and what sorts of things we've learned in all of this that might inform how we move forward in the days after the emergency. Finally, just a little personal comment. While sometimes our federal and state governments tend to blame and polarize a little too much, I have to tell you that I'm continually impressed by the creativity, by the resilience, and by the helpfulness of local Macon County citizens. I want to mention, for example, that the Herald and Review has been very creative in their use of their website to get information out much more quickly for people who access that information through the website. Restaurants that aren't usually in the business of delivery and pickup and carry out have been very creative about ways that they can continue to service their customers, and I encourage all of us to patronize local businesses and restaurants that are considered essential. Finally, just be kind to one another. These are difficult times. Encourage one another and help one another, because we're all in this together, and together we're going to get through it. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Bethany, and I'm the Assistant Administrator at the Macon County Health Department. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about social distancing. We've all been using that term a lot lately, and I just want to make sure that everyone fully understands what that means. So social distancing, we could also call it physical distancing, meaning keeping space between ourselves and other people that we don't live with. So other people outside of our home, whether that's our coworkers or the people that we see in the grocery store. We want to make sure that we practice social or physical distancing, which means staying at least 6 feet or 2 meters from other people. We want to make sure that we don't gather in groups, whether it's that crowded aisle at the grocery store, or if we're out in our yard working on some gardening project, we want to make sure that we stay at least 6 feet away from our neighbor. We want to make sure that we stay out of those crowded places, or make sure that we're avoiding places that people might be gathering, even though they should be staying home right now. So in addition to everyday steps that we can do to prevent COVID-19, keeping space between ourselves and others is one of the best tools that we have to avoid being exposed to this virus. And it also helps slow the spread both locally and across the country and across the world. So, we want to make sure that everyone is avoiding close contact with others. We want to make sure that we limit that close contact with individuals outside of our household, both if we're indoors and if we're outdoors. Since people can spread the virus before they even know they're sick or before they even have any symptoms, it's important that we stay away from others whenever possible at this point in time. So social distancing is so important, and we hope that you will all do your part to help prevent the spread of illness. If you have any questions, you can always visit our website at maconcountyhealth.org or our Facebook page at Macon County Health Department, Decatur, Illinois. Thanks so much, and we hope you take care.